Hello, everyone. My name is Sarab Dubey.
I'm Rebecca Klein.
We are so excited to welcome you to Minnesota Strike's third and last home game of the season. Today we're going to see Minnesota Strike take on Columbus Pride. This should be an exciting game. Rebecca, what are you excited to see today?
Well, one thing that is clear right off the bat is the weather. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. There's not that much wind going on, so it should be a smooth game, we're hoping. We're excited to see some really flashy plays from both sides and see how the Columbus Pride and the Minnesota Strike match up. How about you?
Yeah, I too am excited that Minnesota Strike finally has a home game without inclement weather. No thunderstorms to worry about today. Yeah, as you can see, it is 70 degrees out. Beautiful day for Frisbee. Only a little bit of wind, and the wind, looking at the screen, is going kind of away from us, about left to right. Today we get to see Columbus Pride search for their first win. We talked with their coaches, Elaine Wetley and Dustin McConnell, before the game for some players to watch and what they might be doing strategically. I was interested to hear that they do play with some flexible lines. They've been waiting for some of their chemistry to come together, and they pointed out Kat McGuire, Corinne Pruitt, and Graham Cunningham as players to watch. Graham's going to be on the D-line. The other two might be flexing back and forth. They're really trying to run through these players today and see them make some big plays. What are you excited to see about this Strike, Rebecca?
Yeah, well, if you watched the Strike's previous game against New York Gridlock, you know that this team is full of really, really talented throwers and cutters. So it's really exciting to hopefully watch that same firepower in this game. Specifically from our coaches, they highlighted a few players to watch. Michaela Daly is one of those players. She is a handler, really holds down her line whenever she is on, and we can expect some really solid throws from her. They also highlighted Sarah Monshine. who is a cutter who's really solid on defense. The coaches mentioned that she would likely be taking some of the most difficult matchups on the other team. And then the third person that they mentioned was Jareen Taylor, also a handler. Really, really speedy, very hard to cover. Not necessarily the flashiest player, according to her coaches, but really, really solid and an absolute star of this offensive line.
Yeah, I found it funny that they gave us classic coaches' answers that they pointed out people that maybe the fans might not be noticing. But today, with this low wind, with this beautiful weather, we're going to be seeing some of these deep shots out of players on the strike that I'm excited to see as well. Almost anyone on this team is capable of, uncorking a pass that goes the full 80 if they need to. And hopefully, without the wind that we've seen the past 2 home games, we can give the fans a real treat in that deep space today.
And so we're taking a look at our strike roster right now. The person highlighted on this graphic is Steph Wood. Steph Wood had a really incredible game against the New York Gridlock. She was getting open all over the field. She had tons of goals and was really a game changer for her team. So that was really, really fun to watch. Steph is one of the captains for the women's team here in Minneapolis called POP. So it's really awesome to see her as a leader in our community, really killing it on the field as well. So can't wait to see what she does today.
Yeah, and across the board, this roster is just so strong, obviously reflected in the record that they have, undefeated this year. So many people returning from the previous season, and then obviously the really big name pickups in Emma Peasley, Sarah Maxstroth, Robin Fennig. Just across the board, everyone on this team is such a good player.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to take a look at the Columbus Pride roster as well. The coaches mentioned that they have a slightly smaller group here today. Makes sense since they are traveling to come to this game, but still a very strong roster with some really great talent. Particularly having watched some of their previous film, I'm really excited to see Kat McGuire play. She's a hybrid, as their coaches mentioned, which is funny because she also plays on Ann Arbor Hybrid for club. And she has shown that she's really the embodiment of that term. She is able to throw all over the field. She's also able to make amazing catches and really isn't afraid to throw her body around and lay out for lots of discs. So can't wait to see what she does today as well. So just a quick primer on the rules of the Premier Ultimate League as we welcome you to Minnesota Strike's third and final home game of the 2023 season. So the object of Ultimate is to move the disc down the field with the goal of catching the disc in the end zone for a score. There are 4 12-minute quarters. In the first 3 quarters, the final possession will continue until a score or a turnover occurs, while in the 4th quarter, the game will end at the buzzer. Players can't run with the disc, although the disc can be passed in all directions. Ultimate is a self-officiated, non-contact sport, meaning the players themselves call their own fouls and resolve disputes. The rules here are based on the USA Ultimate 2023 rules with some timing and play stoppage modifications. We also have observers to help move the game along and actively call in and out of bounds and other specific calls. So we may see those folks in the orange shirts active throughout the game today. Just additional rules here, including our time rules. So the quarters are going to be 12 minutes long. There are 150 seconds between quarters, so just a quick timeout essentially, and then a 10-minute half. There are also 2 timeouts per half. A difference between the rules here and the rules of USAU Club is that coaches can actually call timeouts from the sideline. So you may notice that players are not the ones calling the timeouts, and coaches are able to do that. So if the game goes into overtime, which if you were watching Strike's previous game against New York Gridlock, we got a lesson in how that works. But if we go into overtime, we will have 4 minutes of time on the clock. There will be a coin flip to decide who pulls and receives, and the clock does stop between pulls just like in the rest of the quarters. And then after the clock runs out, if we're still tied, the teams will go to sudden death, which is very exciting, and we'll be in for a real treat if we get to that point today.
Definitely.
So our observers for the game today are Jacob Saltzman and Josh Hamish. They're going to make calls in and out of bounds, the disc being up or down, when a player is in or out of the end zone, offsides, if there's a delay of game. Like I mentioned, those are the folks in the orange shirts. There may be some folks on the sideline with Columbus Pride in orange shirts as well, because orange is one of their colors, but not to be confused with the observers. You'll also notice that players and observers will be using hand signals from the World Flying Disc Federation, which we will help teach you throughout the game. As commentators and observers of the game from the sideline, it is always very helpful when folks use hand signals because we can tell exactly what's going on.
All right. Before we get started here in this game, we want to shout out some of our sponsors. First off, Discraft is the Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. Also sponsoring the PUL is Spin Ultimate. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Spin. Spin Ultimate provides custom team uniforms and the ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com.
And as the summer ultimate season ramps up here, you're going to need some jerseys, you're going to need some supplies, so Discraft and Spin are great options for you.
Definitely.
We're looking like we're almost ready to get started here. We have the players out on the lines. It appears that the Columbus Pride will be pulling from the right side of your screen to the Minnesota Strike on offense.
Awesome. Yeah, we get to see this explosive Strike offense take the field right away out of this first point. We'll see what the Pride come down in defense. And looked most of what I saw watching some of their film was they tried to play some poachy sets to slow down pull plays, slow down deep shots. We'll see how Strike responds and takes advantage of some of those poaches.
Yeah, very curious to see how that will look with the Strike having some really, really strong throwers on this team. So it should be an interesting matchup. Opening pull going off from Katrina McGuire, and we are underway here.
All right, that pull is centered to none other than Robin Fenig. Oh, that first pass, a little inside, miscommunication from Fenig to Blahnik.
And that is a D by Maddie Pletzky.
I think McGuire finds Pruitt, back to McGuire. Nice lefty backhand up to Pruitt.
That's Mary Turner, number 22, with the disc right now.
Strike kind of gumming up some of the throwing lanes, face guarding the resets, trying to slow things down. But that is not going to be slow. That is a big pass. Was that Kat McGuire?
That is an opening break from Kat McGuire to number 21, Mal Griffith. That is just about the best start that Columbus Pride could have asked for. We have a replay coming up here so we can see that throw again. Great kind of away throw from Kat McGuire. It's not super windy, but there's still a little bit of wind to contend with here, and that is a really great look to a cutter that was pretty open from their poached defender. So great start for the Pride. Very excited to see how they follow up after that first break.
Yeah, it looked like the Strike offensive line, but playing defense, of course, in that situation was trying to sit in some lanes and try to slow down Pride's D-line offense, and Kat McGuire was having none of that and just threw it right over the top to a poached cutter in the back, really taking advantage of the space that they were given. With this smaller roster, it looks like they're going to be kind of sending some of the same players out, back-to-back points, maybe even crossing over between lines. That's Kat McGuire, again, pulling the disc.
That's a nice pull, lots of float. Gives the defense lots of time to get down.
We see Carly Ekstrom here, center with the disc. Nothing open downfield, finding Daly. Wow, that pass was almost deflected out of bounds. Again, Kat McGuire putting on some tight pressure. Big bid from Pruitt, but Wood with the disc, unleashing a flick into double coverage. That pass sails out of bounds. That's a block from
Morgan Johnson.
Morgan Johnson. Nice defense. It looks
way
like
to be there.
They might have seen that deep pass coming or were ready for it with the help defense, almost sandwiching that Strike cutter.
So the Pride are going to bring it in from the sideline here. That's a nice around up to number 16, Charlie Andreasen.
Strike playing a little tighter defense after Pride showed that they could abuse space and poaches.
That one's going to sail all over everybody, but it does look like there is a foul called. We see the players using that cross-armed signal for foul. Looks like there will not be a contest.
And that disc up with Alex Hughes finds Johnson. Back to Kat McGuire.
love that patience from McGuire, recognizing she has that open swing. And then she immediately throws it deep, and she finds her receiver, number 27, Alex Hughes. So that is a second break for Columbus Pride here, and also a second assist from Kat McGuire, having a really awesome first couple of points.
Yeah, no surprise there. Kat McGuire is pointed out by the coaches before the game, and she is proving them right to be a valuable player for their team and someone that we should keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
What are you seeing from Strike here that seems to be going wrong right away off the bat, offensively?
I think I'd like to see a little bit more active movement between their handlers. We know that Strike has really, really strong handler movement between the dumps, swings, all sorts of different throws that they have in their arsenal. I think they can take advantage of that and try to knock the defense a little bit more on their heels. We know they can do it, and I'm sure we'll see it later in this game. It just depends on how soon they're able to find it.
Definitely. It looks like Strike coaches able to use this home roster of a larger size to their advantage. They gave that first offensive line a rest to put the flex line out, and we're seeing that first offensive line back out again. Robin Fennig running up to the disc, looking to center to, I think that's Courtney Walby, and Jareen Taylor also in the backfield for Strike.
That is Steph Rupp there
that's
on
Steph.
the around. Nice around from Robin. Right back to Robin.
Right, it's Steph Rupp, yeah.
The two of them have played on the same line in most of the games I've watched and have really great chemistry, along with Jareen Taylor. That's a great group of three. Nice. Inside from Jareen.
Huge underspace.
And here's a huck from Robin to Kayla Blanick.
Oh, Blanick just comes up short.
Great layout to try to save possession there by Megan Randall, but not quite getting it. So Strike will hopefully be able to get a stop here near their own end zone.
Pride with the full 80 to go. That's looking like it's going to be a strip.
Yep, Jareen Taylor was able to get in there, but unfortunately not before the Pride player caught the disc. So that is going to stay with the Pride player. This is number 4, Rachel Mast with the disc. Up to Maggie Roll. And she finds number 2, Natalie Barnhart. Is looking for an around and is able to find it there.
Back to Mast. Mast and Roll.
Two players who I think we've been impressed with in Columbus's prior game, but there's Robin Fennig able to get a D on that swing across the field. She hucks it once again.
2 Strike players in the area. Jareen not able to come down with it, just a little bit out of reach.
Really exciting to see Jareen cutting deep, though. This isn't something you normally see from her as she is a handler, but I really love seeing that versatility.
Columbus showing us that they are using the width of the field very well, actually, so far in all of these points. Ooh, nice over-the-top hammer, just a little bit too far. But they're not afraid to swing the disc back and forth and really open up throwing lanes that maybe they weren't doing as well in some of their previous games.
And Robin Fennig over here to pick up. She has Jareen Taylor as her reset and hits her easily. Over to Steph Wood. Oh, what a great block. I believe that's Rachel Mast.
Rachel Mast definitely someone to keep an eye on as well. Very athletic, dominant downfield cutter, and dominant with her throws for Pride.
And she takes the matchup of Danielle Byers, who is an extremely fast player, extremely hard to guard. So that is not easy. Nice inside break throw there for, again, Rachel Mast, who's getting open all over the field.
Roll with the disc in the center of the field. It's a dangerous spot for her to be. Definitely a shooter for their offense.
Nice,
Cunningham.
Yeah, nice defense there.
Cunningham to Mast. Back to Graham Cunningham.
Really like the patience here from Columbus. That looks like they kind of want to shoot it, but they are taking their time instead. Oh, and unfortunate turnover there. Just couldn't get to it. Byers is streaking deep, but unfortunately no one is there to pick it up, so she will come back to the stack.
I can respect that. I think Strike taking a little moment to catch their breath. Remember that they don't have to rush on this offense. 2 huge unders to get 20 yards each. Knocking on the doorstep for the 4th time this point.
Oh, and Fennig bobbles it, but is able to hold on, and she is putting it up to Byers, and unfortunately it just goes right out the back of the end zone. And looking at the flags right now, which is what our barometer for wind is, they are completely still. So there's no wind right now. So that's an unfortunate overthrow for Fenig. So again, the Strike are going to be, or the Pride are going to be right here at their end zone. So hopefully they can work it up the field and get another break. Immediate huck here. Got 2 players coming to it. Rachel Mass is going to find it. And she's looking at Mal Griffith, number 21, who finds it about 5 yards out of the end zone and calls a timeout.
During this timeout, with a little break in the action, we'd like to shout out another sponsor. Urban Growler is Minnesota's first women-owned microbrewery. We make traditional beers and a wide variety of specialty beers or brews with a local twist. You can also find our beer on tap and in liquor stores around town. Urban Growler's mission is to bring people together through beer. And I don't know if you've been there, but
I have been to Urban Growler. Their food is extremely good too.
I was just going to say that.
So many really good breweries in the Twin Cities. One of the things I love about it here, but Urban Growler stands out for their amazing food as well as their amazing drinks.
Definitely.
So we're going to have Pride starting about 5 yards out of their end zone here. What do you think the Strike will need to do here to make a stop and have another chance to score their first hold?
Well, this is something that every team drills is end zone reps, and I find it honestly interesting that there was a timeout called in that position. It looked like Pride kind of had Strike on their heels, reeling a bit, but they're able to sub in a strong defensive line, coming out fresh and ready to play in this 10-yard box, try to lock down. We see Helm shutting down that first ISO cutter. Upline pass gets to Cunningham, though, from Kat McGuire again. That's another assist for another break.
That is a 3rd assist for the 3rd point of the game for McGuire. She is truly on fire. We also saw in that defensive set from the Strike, Jane Cook sort of poaching into the middle of the space. And it did help with that first ISO cut, but then that Strike cut from Cunningham was able to get open. Jane Cook is really a defensive force on the Minnesota Strike team. We can expect her to make some pretty flashy and amazing plays in this game. And you saw her there already kind of clogging up that space and taking away the first ISO.
Yes.
So Kat McGuire is out there once again to pull. So if you're keeping count, she has not taken a break yet.
3 points, 3 assists, and she's on for her 4th.
Why not keep going?
And this is really going to test some of the endurance for Strike. Seeing as some of their previous games have been in tougher weather, the points have been longer, but that also means that there's more of a break in between points. These points are kind of getting through really fast. We see a lot of reps back and forth.
There's Emma Peasley in the middle of the field up to Sarah Mextroth, 2 players who both played for Raleigh Radiance last year, but are back in Minnesota this year. Back up to Emma Peasley. And she's going to shoot it for Mex, who is going to find it right on the sideline for Strike's first goal of the game.
And that kind of offense is honestly what we're more used to seeing out of Strike. Most of that was on the open side and just showcasing Strike athleticism and throws.
Absolutely. And you talked a little bit earlier about the really strong pickups that Strike has gotten in the offseason, or they did get in the offseason. Peasley and Mextroth are 2 of them. Sarah Mextroth is local to the Twin Cities. Last year she played with Raleigh Radiance for the PUL season and with Raleigh Phoenix for the club season. So very exciting to have her back with the Strike this year. Emma Peasley also moved to the area since the last PUL season. So Peasley was on Dragon Thrust, a really strong mixed team out of the Twin Cities. So super exciting to have them both in the Twin Cities scene. And they show their talents in that 1 point there.
Speaking of talent, this D-line is going to be coming out. I'm going to be excited to see what they do against Pride's offense. It looked to me like Pride is pretty reliant on opening pull plays, kind of a lot of floods or unique variations of flood plays to get the offense moving. Graham Cunningham finds the first under and finds, I believe that's Mast again. Up to Mary Turner.
Nice pressure there from Helm.
Turner looking to reset, finds a reset in the center of the field.
Jenny Perry, number 38. Nice around.
Yeah, Pride really utilizing the width of the field well this game so far.
Looks like we have a pick on the field. We see Naraya Bell-Sims doing the sort of goalpost arms, which signifies a pick. In Ultimate, if anyone gets in your way when you are on defense, you are allowed to call a pick, whereas in basketball, it is allowed. It is not allowed in the game of Ultimate. Rachel Johnson taps it back in.
It was great defense there on the first cut from Sims. Didn't fall for a couple of hesitation moves. Covered the cut. Graham Cunningham getting open in the reset space very effectively so far. We see Mass with the disc again.
That is Rachel Barnhart, I believe, number 2.
Oh.
Up to Perry, and she's going to shoot for the end zone. Can Helm get there? Yes, she can.
Nice.
Great block from Sarah Helm.
Helm's able to get in front of Mary Turner. Mary Turner threatening the deep space with a few inches over Helm. Definitely found success in the deep space in some of the previous games for Pride, but Helm able to jump in front and make the play.
So Rachel Johnson is walking it up to the line. She has Callie Paletto back there as her reset, and then she throws into the poached defender. So Pride is going to have another chance here, about 10 yards out of their end zone.
Cook covered that first cut extremely well again. Placed the body on the first cut, forced a move and a second move, and that kind of threw off the thrower's path and rhythm for that first under and able to generate a turnover.
Oh, that is a block from number 00, Rowell. Courtney Walby is calling a foul. It looks like there is no contest from those hand signals.
Even with the foul, that's really, really good pressure on defense, letting the offensive player know that you're right on their back heel.
Absolutely. Overthrow there from Walby to Jane Cook, so the Pride will have another chance here to punch in the hold.
Paletto on the mark. Good pressure on the mark, stopping the inside lane.
That's a great juke there from Perry, and she is gonna, oh my goodness.
Wow.
She's gonna find number 4, Rachel Mast. There's a bit of contact there from Jane Cook. Looks like everyone is okay, fortunately. And that is gonna be a hold for Columbus Pride.
That is an extremely impressive grab to be able to hold on to. Looks like there might be some discussion about the contact. I don't think there was anything malicious coming from Cook there. Mast kind of had to come into the disc and make the play. It looks like they're talking it out, and it's all good, though.
Ultimate is a non-contact sport, however. Contact does sometimes occur. This is why players are able to call fouls. What's most important is that everyone is safe and healthy, and it looks like everyone is there. And that was a really great grab there from Rachel Mast. Someone who I noticed in the film that I watched of the Columbus Pride was really, really strong cutter, making amazing grabs, and constantly open for her team. So not surprised that she is repeating that skill in this game too.
Definitely, and we see that Pride D-line coming back out. Again, big crossovers. Kat McGuire coming out for her 4th or 5th point.
I believe that was the first assist from Pride that was not from McGuire.
Right.
So I didn't catch who it was. So Steph Rupp is going to pick it up and center it to Robin Fenig. Looks like a pull play here. Fenig is hucking it to Kayla Blahnik, who comes down with it about 20 yards out of the end zone. Or 10 yards, excuse me.
Blahnik to Byers. Byers looking for Fenig to the reset.
This McGuire-Fenig matchup is very exciting to watch.
Wow, McGuire almost gets that block, but Fenig outreaches her.
Great switch there from Columbus Pride to cover Jareen Taylor, who was striking up line. But Byers is able to get it in that strike space anyway.
Yeah, Byers showcasing her speed there, able to get that inside shoulder and seal her defender out on the skinny up line for the goal. That was a great pull play out of Minnesota Strike to isolate Kayla Blahnik in the deep space. A lot of teams recognize with Blahnik's height that she is a deep target, so it took some creativity to shake her defender, maybe make them think that they needed a help on a separate cut, and open her up for that opening huck from Robin Fenig.
So the score is now 4-2. Columbus Pride is up, and we have just under 2 minutes left in the first quarter here. So we'll see if we can get a couple more points in before the quarter ends. The Strike is going to be pulling here. It looks like Alicia Carr has the disc and is about to pull to Columbus Pride's offensive line.
Yeah, I like in that last point that Fenig is showing. She's not afraid to shoot, even though she had a couple turnovers in the first couple points. She knows that the team not necessarily relies on, but looks to her to throw deep, and that she knows she's skilled at that that specific skill. We're going to see a lot more of that, and it's going to open up the offense a lot for Strike.
Something I like to tell the high schoolers I coach is to have a goldfish memory. if something doesn't work out, you got to just move on to the next play, and Robin has shown that she is very good at doing that. Looks like we got Natalie Rowell isolated here. Unfortunate drop there. She's really good at getting open in those spaces, so I'm not surprised that she did.
Sadie Redding was right on her hip on the defense. Ekstrom picking up with Daly open in the reset space. Like the Strike coaches mentioned when we talked to them before the game, Pride is looking to poach some lanes, try to gum up the offense downfield. And Carlos Lopez said that he was looking for anyone with the disc to be patient and try to find the open lanes.
Ooh, and that is a great hand block there from number 22, Mary Turner, on Sarah Mexstroth.
And they're attacking Mexstroth deep.
Mex was able to get it right back.
Yeah. Looks like she had a little assist from the sideline. There's going to have to be some flashy toes to come down with that pass and keep it in bounds. Strike with the full 80 to go. Daly to pick up. Ekstrom in the backfield. And again, this is interesting. We see Pride allowing Minnesota to swing the disc to the center. Unfortunate error.
This is Phillips with the disc right now. She'll find that reset for Mary Turner. And there's Perry. Looks like there's a stoppage. Timeout potentially.
Timeout Columbus.
It looks like we have another timeout. I imagine they're going to sub some players in for Pride offense. During this timeout, we'll shout out Twin Cities Ultimate League. They're an organization whose mission is to provide opportunities for adults and teenagers to play Ultimate Frisbee in an organized and safe environment. They do this by running and facilitating leagues, tournaments, clinics, and other events throughout the year. That's Twin Cities Ultimate League.
Affectionately known as TCUL among players. League is a really awesome way to meet friends and community members in the Twin Cities Ultimate community, which is so robust and really wonderful.
So it's a very similar setup to a couple points ago. There's a timeout close to the end zone. We see Strike defense coming out. Helm is guarding that first cutter, and there's some help in the lane, kind of baiting Pride to throw a reset to the sideline.
Looks like Kat McGuire is subbed in on this point, as she was not on before the timeout. And just as a reminder, the clock is going to expire here in 4 seconds, but Columbus Pride is able to continue their possession until they score or turn it over, at which point the quarter will be over.
Yeah, Pride is happy to just possess the disc right now, patiently until something maybe opens up downfield, like that pass.
Perry is going to find, that is number 22, I believe, Mary Turner.
It's hard to see from up here.
So great end of quarter stand there from Columbus Pride. Actually, that I think was number
that was
4,
Mast.
Rachel
Yeah,
Mast.
it's Perry to Mast.
My apologies. Yeah, great stand at the end of the quarter there.
Right before we end the quarter here, we're going to go to a quick break. I just want to shout out Kat McGuire and Rachel Mast, pointed out by the Pride coaches, and they each have McGuire with 3 assists, Mast with 3 goals. We'll see what Strike can do to kind of gain footing back in this game in the next quarters. All right, we'll be back in a bit. We'll go on a quick break between quarters.
Like a bird, you can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
All right, we're back into the second quarter with Pride receiving the disc, and they just had a missed throw on a break side attempt around, giving Strike a break chance. The first break chance they've had this game. Hopefully try and close this gap a little bit.
Really important that Strike is able to be patient and hit those open cutters and get this break back.
Rachel Johnson really opened up the field with her patented inside flick. Nice around break again. Able to switch the field across.
Ooh, nice grab from Walby.
Sims hits Walby. Oh, another little miscommunication to Cook on that under.
And it looks like Mary Turner is streaking deep there. Helms following her.
Yeah, Paletto able to put some pressure on the mark. On Phillips, we have Phillips. Grace Cunningham actually on this O point. And I believe that's number 38. Jenny Perry also in the backfield. Roll with the disc right now.
Slight miss throw there. Couldn't quite get it to Perry, so Strike will have another chance here for the break. Johnson over to pick it up. Finds Jane Cook in the underspace.
Quick look into Sims.
Oh, great layout from Sims. Just can't come down with it, but really awesome effort there.
Yeah, it looks like Strike's just been struggling to hit their throws as well as they know they can. I mean, one key to this quarter is for them to just kind of get their footing back under them, take a breath, remember that they do have these throws that they're trying to make. Maybe take another little second right before they let go. Make sure it's going where they know it can go.
Really solid downfield defense there from Strike, not really offering any options for their cutters. Oh, and that throw was not intended for Rachel Mass, but she came down with it anyway.
Mass putting one out to space. Able to find Phillips downfield. Turner streaking deep, but covered by Helm. Pride again, switching the field all the way around to the break side. Helm able to stop the bleeding around. Turner looking to reset. Good reset defense from Monshine.
Oh, nice defense from Strike, able to force that turn there. Hopefully they can use this one to punch in the break. Walby's going deep, and Johnson is going to throw that. Walby had already started turning around to come back, so that is not going to connect, and it is another turnover. It does appear that there is a timeout called on the field, though.
Oh, looks like Strike coaches may have snuck a timeout in just before that pass was thrown, and they might retain the possession. They might be putting their offensive line out.
It does appear that way. Robin picking up the disc.
Yeah.
So while we're in this timeout, Doobie, what do you see as the keys here for Strike to kind of claw back into this game in the second quarter?
Yeah, it looks like everyone's just on a slightly different page. They're able to, put some passes together. They're getting open on the field, and then whoever's throwing the disc maybe thinks that the cutter's taking an angle that the cutter's not ready to take. They're just missing passes by a yard or two. A good example of that was a point in the previous quarter. The center handler was poached, and it looked like the swing from the sideline was looking for the poached player to gain some yards, whereas the person thrown to you was expecting to, just get that pass to their chest. So just remembering to take a breath before they make these passes, I think is the key here.
We got Robin Fennig picking up the disc. It looks like Steph Wood is isolated there in the middle of the field. And she is immediately going to go deep. Fennig will fake her off and instead find number 5, Steph Rupp.
Pride had some help defense deep there that flashed.
Great straight cut from Doreen Taylor. Finds Danielle Byers. Big forehand fake.
Oh, Doreen sneaks up line. That was a great cut.
Classic Doreen cut.
And
she
Wood
will find,
open.
yes.
Beats her defender to the front cone for the break.
That is Doreen Taylor to Steph Wood for the score. It is now 5-3.
Give some credit to Carlos Lopez for that well-timed timeout call.
Absolutely. Doreen Taylor played on Dragon Thrust for club last summer. Prior to that, she played on a team from Stevens Point, Wisconsin called Point of No Return. I believe she actually helped found that team. Having played against that team on a different team, I can speak to how absolutely unstoppable she was with cuts just like that one we just saw. So no surprise that she is carving up the field for the Strike here.
Definitely, yeah. They were looking a lot cleaner offensively on that point after the timeout. It took a little moment to gather themselves and put on a show for us to that open side, showcasing their athleticism. Kat McGuire back out for yet another point. We'll see what she can do on offense this time.
Great pull there from Alicia Carr.
See Phillips picking up the disc, up to Cunningham. Mass is open in the center of the field, but to the break side, not able to get it to her. Pride playing some small ball back and forth. They're not able to gain yards. A lot of solid downfield defense. Daly almost gets the block.
And there's McGuire in the center of the field for that continuation, marked by Emma Peasley. Looks like there is a pick call.
Downfield defenders on strike, really putting on a lot more pressure here. And it looks like in the backfield, sitting in the lanes a little bit more to make those throws downfield harder.
Oh, great try there from McGuire. She looked like she had it in her hand, but then lost it when she hit the ground. And Ekstrom will pick it up and immediately throw to Emma Peasley, who finds it in the end zone.
Incredible touch throw from Ekstrom, about 50 yards, just on a platter for the receiver to run onto.
Carly Ekstrom is a really great add for the strike roster as well. She recently moved back to the Twin Cities for graduate school, and she is a really, really exciting addition to the Twin Cities Ultimate community.
Yeah, it looks like Strike's starting to get some of that swagger back. Looks like they never lost trust in their teammates. Peasley saw that pass hit the ground and was already taking off before Pride defense even knew what was happening. Plenty of yards to throw to for Ekstrom. And that's 5-4. That's another break for Strike.
And we have Courtney Walby here getting ready to pull. One thing you may notice in PUL games is that the breaks between points are pretty short. The games are really fast-paced. The clock does stop between points, but the games move really quickly. So it's exciting action here as we get right back into our next point. It's over to Phillips in the middle of the field. Up to Rowell, who unfortunately drops it. Unlike her, she is a really, really strong cutter. This is, I believe, the second drop she's had in this game, but expect to see her with some really great grabs as the game goes on.
Like Johnson picking up the disc. Deep cut is covered. Able to find the front of the stack, just barely out of reach for Walby. Bounces off her hands. And it looks like Cunningham's going to pick up with Phillips as a reset. Cunningham finds Turner on the break side around. Great defense on the reset from Monshine. Phillips over to Cunningham, switching the field.
Sims, it looks like, is poaching off a little bit and expecting that under.
Oh, and that pass is just a little bit too low from Cunningham. She had a receiver streaking deep. I think that's Rachel Mast again. Had a couple steps on Cook, but not able to make that pass.
It is not easy to get a couple steps on Jane Cook, so
definitely
got to hit that when you see it.
Johnson picking up. If you haven't noticed yet, Johnson is someone that can launch the disc a full 80 with her forehand. That first cut off the back of the stack, often coming off deep, but the reset again just too far for Paletto.
I think this is a big difference between this game and Strike in prior games. They're not really able to hit those arounds and those swing throws, so hopefully they'll be able to clean that up. This is Perry with the disc. She throws it around to Rachel Mast.
Another goal for Mast. So before getting into some strategy points that I'm noticing, I want to shout out Spin Ultimate. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com. I did want to point out, I think you asked me what keys Strike needs to focus on to improve, and in the moment it looked like they just needed to catch and throw better. They're getting that under their belt a little bit more, but I think defensively they're getting burned on rounds a lot. Pride being able to switch the field all the way back and forth is making a huge difference on downfield defense. It's opening up lanes for the cutters that might not be there with some of the cutter defenders that Strike has. And offensively, we do see them, like you mentioned, kind of missing some of these reset throws. Something that Pride is doing really well is maybe shortening the length of those resets, so the pass isn't as wide. It might not get caught by a gust of wind, even though it's not that windy. Pride finding a lot of success in shorter passes that maybe Strike should start to look to take advantage of as well.
That's a great point. We got Fenig here with the disc. Back to Jareen Taylor, and that's up to Kayla Blahnik. Megan Randall is wide open in the underspace there and toes in the catch on the sideline.
Still no mark. Pride content to let her defender poach in the deep space. Fenig looking to reset. Great swings. Jareen finds Steph Wood was open on the break side, but that pass sail's a little bit too high.
Columbus has the entire field to go down. Up to Morgan Johnson here. And this is Mary Turner.
Randall on the mark, applying some breakside pressure. Fenig just misses on a bid, but it opens up that breakside huck.
And I think Steph Rupp's defense there forced Pletzky to come in a little closer than maybe she would have if the defense hadn't been there. So great pressure there from Rupp, even though she didn't need to get a hand on it.
Definitely. That made the offender second guess. Pletzky took just a half second to think if she needs to attack with Rupp, and that was the half second she needed to kind of get in the right spot to make that play.
Fenig's not seeing a lot of options downfield here, so she's going to look for her reset. Stalls might be getting high here. Finds Danielle Byers. The great leaping catch.
Great under from Wood. There we go. We see Strike offense kind of taking another second or two to wait for these poaches to be opened up. The pass drops to the ground. Randall not able to connect to Taylor on the up line.
Byers poaching off into the open lane there. Forces the reset. There's Kat McGuire once again. And she's going to shoot it deep. Looks like we have two Strike players there as well, and Megan Randall is able to get it back. Almost a second chance opportunity there for the Columbus Pride player, but the disc hits the ground before she can grab it.
I think that pass from Kat McGuire, she's hoping she put that a little bit lower, a little bit flatter. She had two receivers in the area with some yardage, but Strike able to catch up while that hung in the air.
Great around there from Robin Fenig. Up to Danielle Byers. Here's Kayla Blahnik, and she's going to throw it deep for Steph Wood, who has miles of space and catches it right in the corner in front of the end zone.
Just a couple yards to work with.
Great patience there from Wood.
Dishes to the Jareen Taylor for the score.
That was a long hold there for the Strike, but they're able to punch it in. And I really liked their patience there and not looking at the first opportunity that comes up, waiting until there is an open player. Often when there's a big huck down the field, it can be hard to take a deep breath and to find an open receiver, but Wood was able to do just that.
Yeah, it looks like Strike's starting to remember probably what their coaches were reminding them of constantly about these poaches they're going to see from Pride defense. Something that I noticed in their New York game last week or 2 weeks ago, New York was doing the same thing, kind of poaching maybe one or two people helping deep or helping under, and Strike was doing a phenomenal job of being patient with the disc and waiting for some cuts to develop and isolate that poached player, either on the break side or open side. And we saw them able to take advantage of a poach there. The poaching player tried to make a play, and it opened up Kayla Blahnik for a break side huck. Wide open Steph Wood as well.
Great pull again from Alicia Carr. And the defense for the Strike is going to get down there. Looks like Perry over to pick up the disc.
Perry and Phillips in the backfield. We see another flood play out of Pride, but Strike covers it well.
It's a great inside from Phillips. Ooh, into traffic there.
Phillips finds Cunningham on the break side, but
great run through D there by Louise Beck.
Yeah, punishing Cunningham for not coming to the disc. Louise heads up on that D.
Ekstrom finds that around to Michaela Daly, who finds another swing over to Alicia Carr.
Back to Daly. Daly to Carr, playing some small ball. Carr back to Daly. They're gaining yards on these resets as well. Finding Max Stroth. Back to Daly. Max in the middle of the field. We'll see maybe a pass or two, and Strike will transition into that end zone set that isolates a lot of athleticism.
There's Peasley about 20 yards out of the end zone. Up to Mexstroth, and she finds Carly Ekstrom. Really dangerous thrower here. She dumps it back to Mex, who finds Louise back on the far sideline. Really great patient offense here by Strike. Looks like Peasley is calling a foul there on Katrina McGuire. There's a little bit of contact, really in a very small space that Peasley was cutting into to try to get that strike throw. So looks like the two of them are talking about it and potentially going to the observer for a ruling. From those hand signals, it appears there is no contest on that foul.
Yeah, it looks like McGuire was just trying to make a play and caught Peasley's arm on the way through. Peasley about 1 yard to go on that end zone line. Able to find Mex on the dump. Great around pass.
Finds Mex again. Sarah Mexstroth really looking for those arounds every time. And she finds Michaela Daly into traffic at that front cone. Awesome jumping one-handed grab by Daly. And that is another break for Strike. We are now tied up at 6s, folks.
That was some pretty impressive defense from Pride in that end zone set, guarding Mex and Peasley and some give-and-go motions, pretty tight, making those passes tough. We see Daly able to kind of take advantage of the close pressure that they were putting on with the jab to the break side, opening up that open side cut for the score.
And it looks like we have Daly staying on for that defensive line, as well as a lot of the same players. Mexstroth, Peasley, Jane Cook is coming on. We also have Robin Fennig doing the pull here. Typically, we've been seeing her on offensive line, I want to say. But seeing her swap over here to defense, she can get any of them can get an awesome block here. Fennig's going to be an awesome handler to have on their D-line offense.
Definitely with 1 minute left in this half, it looks like Strike is betting on getting a block and being able to put in one more score to go into the half with a 1-goal lead.
It's an exciting one here at Seafoam Stadium. Couldn't ask for better weather, couldn't ask for a better game. So can't wait to see what happens next. Fennig getting ready for the pull.
Huge pull.
That will bounce behind the handler for Columbus Pride, which gives Strike defense a little more time to set up. Rachel Mast up here with the disc, marked by Jane Cook, another really great matchup. This is number 2, Natalie Barnhart with the disc. She always plays in sunglasses, which is a very cool style moment.
On the flip side of this, with Strike looking to get a quick block and retain possession, Pride knows that if they just hold on to this disc for a minute, it at least seals out Strike from the opportunity of scoring a goal going into half.
They did a really good job of that in the previous quarter. Peasley shutting down Phillips on the reset for a couple of seconds, but then she does get open.
This clock is running down. Deep shot goes up. Johnson in the area on Rowell. Johnson gets the block.
And I believe that is the end of the half with that turnover. Yep, looks like players are going to leave the field for halftime.
All right. Pride able to hold on to that disc, take a clean shot towards the end of the half, and prevent Minnesota from having an opportunity to score. So we go into this halftime break with a score of 6-6. Really exciting game on our hands here. We'll see which team pulls ahead coming out of halftime.
Followed by Teapot Oat over the crowd.
She rips one in the closing seconds. Leave it exploding. Sat up there for a long time. And it's Naraya Sims who comes down with it. The crowd loves it. See what striking moves he's got here.
All right. Welcome back to Minnesota Strike versus Columbus Pride. We're going to start the third quarter here shortly, coming in with a score of 6-6, a clean slate, hopefully, for both teams. What do you expect to see this half?
Well, I mean, we really are just like starting over at 0-0, the tie game. We're starting a whole new half. So I'm expecting to see a little bit more clean offense from Strike, maybe something that we're more used to from their other games that we haven't seen a ton of today. So I'm really hoping that will be nice and smooth. And from the Pride, I think they've been doing a really good job of putting defensive pressure on the Strike, especially in those reset spaces. So I think I want to continue seeing that, as well as maybe hitting some deep throws. In previous games, I've seen some pretty great throws from the Pride, and would love to see them sort of push deep in this half.
All right, we see Strike starting on offense here, centering up to Fennig. Classic O-line out. Again, Pride is clogging up the center of the field for whatever plays that Strike tries to run off the pull.
Robin Fennig with the disc finds Doreen Taylor on the near side.
It looks like Strike is resetting the disc much more comfortably so far this first point on a half than in the first half.
Megan Randall with the undercut, and she grabs it right by the sideline.
Strike has flowed back into their vert stack. Pretty token for them. Finding Fennig on the break side. Fennig looking to shoot, but the cutter's a little bit too deep.
Great fake there from Doreen Taylor. She finds Steph Rupp right in the center of the field instead.
And a pump fake open up the front of the stack as the front of the stack defender looked to help on the swing. Byers at the disc on the sideline finds Fennig open for the reset.
And here's Randall again on the break side.
Big break around.
Oh, and she's going to throw it to Byers. Nice throw. Great look on that backhand from Randall. And she hits Byers in the end zone.
That is exactly what Strike wants to be seeing coming out of halftime. That's a short 10-minute break, but it's plenty of time to reset your mental, get your thoughts together, and come out and execute exactly like that on the point. They were able to look through all those poaches and make the plays they needed to come out with that goal.
And so a couple shout-outs that we want to give here during this break between points. Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. Additionally, we want to shout out Spin Ultimate. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Spin Ultimate. Spin Ultimate providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com.
All right. So Strike able to hold out of half. This essentially is how the first half started, at 0-0. But Strike able to hold this time, and the game is on serve. We'll see what Pride can put together to counter back. All right, Phillips center 2.
It's like number 8, Becky Moore, I believe. Great around throw there from Perry to Rowell.
I'm looking to see Rowell a little bit more involved this half. A lot of what I saw out of Pride in their previous games, that was a great grab.
Sadie Redding was actually able to get a hand on that, but Phillips was still able to grab it on the sideline.
We haven't seen Rowell open up her throws much so far, looking to shoot to deep targets like Mass and McGuire yet this game, but we'll see if she's able to get opening up those big backhands that she likes around the mark in these next 2 quarters.
Great find from Perry, although as the disc continues here, it does look like there may have been a stall call back there with Peasley and Jenny Perry, although I do believe it was retracted as there was a turnover down at the end of the field anyway.
Yeah, and as I was talking about Rowell opening up her throws, she was actually a little open on that deep cut, but Sadie Redding able to get in the way and make the block.
Michaela Daly over to pick up the disc. Carly Ekstrom is back for the reset as well. Finds Sarah Mextroth immediately in that middle of the field.
And this is another big mental test for Strike, getting out of these first 20 yards when they are starting in the opposite end zone that they need to score in as a D-line.
Great pressure there from Rachel Mass. She almost got that D. Max is able to come up with it anyway. The result of that is that there are some players pretty wide open for Strike, so Sadie Redding finds that break side. Oh, Mex again is able to make that grab under a pressure from a poached Columbus Pride player. Very impressive stuff.
Yeah, so we see Strike really taking their time, swinging the disc back and forth.
As soon as you say that.
You're right.
Oh, great job by Redding to come back to the disc, run onto it, and is able to grab it in front of the defender. And now Mex is able to find Beck.
That was
for
beautiful
the goal.
offense. That's Sarah Maxdrop to Louise Beck. Exciting to see Louise Beck out on the field. First game she's rostered for, and she's already got a D and a goal under her belt.
Absolutely. Louise Beck is a product of the University of Minnesota team, as are many of the players on the Strike team. Not too far from the U of M here at Seafoam Stadium.
That's the offense that I was looking to see out of Strike. In the first half, I'm glad that they're able to pull that out of their bag. Starting the second half, even though they did, boost it deep right as I was saying they were being patient, that cut was only open because they were able to, take advantage of the poaches, find the poach player, and swing the disc effectively back and forth. And that opened up the deep opportunity. That's a break for Strike. That's a hold and break out of half, giving them the lead.
I think this is the Strike team that we expected to see right out of the bat from the first quarter. So exciting that they were able to sort of regroup during halftime and come out for the second half swinging. So while we here with the PUL, we'll see if they can put another one up there. Pride will be looking to get a hold.
And now it's time to see how Pride coaches respond with strategy and how Pride players respond on the field. McGuire's defended in the center of the field, but isolated and able to find kind of a loopy cut back to the open side.
And there we do see Sarah Monshine taking that really tough matchup of Kat McGuire. The Strike coaches did mention that she'd be taking difficult matchups, and we see it right here. Great around throw there from Rowell up to Rachel Mast. She finds Natalie Barnhart.
Wow, good reset defense from Paletto.
Ooh.
Wow.
Close to a collision there, so glad everybody is safe, but it seems like Paletto and Monshine maybe both got their hands on that, and the disc hits the ground, so it is now Strike disc. And we got Jane Cook going deep. Unfortunately, that one tails out, but unlikely to see Rachel Johnson holster it too often when she sees Jane Cook going deep. That is a really great target.
Yeah, that's something you never get tired of seeing. When Rachel Johnson picks up that disc on the corner cone, you can almost expect that first cut to be streaking deep and that disc to be thrown.
And Jane Cook's top speed is very difficult to match.
Definitely. Paletto again on the handler on the mark. Let's see if they can get another block in the reset space. Downfield defenders doing their job, forcing Pride to have to look back to swing it. Pride has lost about 15 yards on these swings as well due to the pressure. Great defense from Sims. Forces a lefty backhand high, and it goes through the hands of Barnhart.
And great a way to catch the D that she got there, Sims, not leaving it up to question. Some really big fakes from Paletto, but resets it back to Walby. And Paletto finds Sarah Monshine slightly down the field.
Yeah, Paletto taking advantage of the switching that was happening in the reset space to put up a breakside throw.
Oh, great throw there from Jane Cook. There was a poached defender that came off to help with that defense, but the throw managed to sail right over her outstretched hands and into the arms of Naraya Bell Sims, who celebrates with an emphatic spike and shoulder bump with Callie Paletto. So awesome throw from Cook. Great reception there from Naraya Bell Sims.
Yeah, very impressive use of the break side from Strike there. And very impressive handler defense and handler activity that kind of generated that goal. Handler defense, Paletto and Sims and Rachel Johnson really forcing a lot of difficult resets, not falling for little hesitation moves that might get those handlers open most of the time, and then also being able to take advantage of the switching and more relaxed defense that Pride was playing on the Strike handles to get that string of breakside passes and open up the breakside hook.
Absolutely. Jane Cook and Naraya Bell Sims, we see them walking off the field together. They are teammates together on Minnesota Dragon Thrust. There's a lot of chemistry on this Strike team from various club teams. Columbus Pride has that chemistry as well. There are a number of players on Columbus Pride who play for a rival in the club division. The coaches did note that Columbus Pride players come from 3 different states. So they are able to really string together that chemistry even though they come from different parts of the country.
Yeah, and something their coaches said was they really expected this game to be where a lot of that chemistry comes together. They mentioned the short season, how it might be tough to put those pieces in the right spots, but I think they've been proven right so far, probably playing really well with each other.
This is Samantha Phillips with the disc right now. She's looking for Graham Cunningham, who is able to get open, but unfortunately that throws just a little bit under her hand.
Beck able to stop the upfield cut and force Cunningham to turn back around.
Carly Ekstrom over to pick it up. She's got Michaela Daly wide open in the reset space.
Nice timing on that cut with Redding off the swing. Redding to Peasley. Peasley shoots.
Oh, great layout from Alicia Carr. Not quite able to get it there, but a really awesome effort on that bid.
And you can start to see when this strike offense is moving and playing well, it is fast and hard to guard. Those cuts were all timed so well. Just a little bit short on the last throw, but defense was nowhere close to generating pressure on some of those cuts.
Oh, great layout D from Sadie Redding to get it back. As a cutter defender, that is a dream come true to get a layout D, so kudos on Sadie Redding for getting that.
Strike quickly switches the field from Daly to Carr to Ekstrom. Back to Daly.
Great
Nice
patient
resets.
handler resets here. Oh, just out of the reach of Daly, unfortunately. So the Pride here will have another chance to hold.
Looks like there was a call somewhere on the field.
The signal makes it look like it was a pick. However, the disc had not tapped in yet, so unsure there. Cunningham with the great around.
Oh, but that huck kind of turns over before.
From Corinne Pruitt, unfortunately, I think she was looking for Morgan Johnson deep. That throw didn't quite connect.
That's a tough pass. Throwing that upfield forehand, kind of only 10 yards laterally to work with. We see Ekstrom with the disc now. Strike back in the revert stack. Peasley looking for Mextroth deep.
Beautiful.
Great timing again.
And Mex is just on the end zone line. She dumps it back to Beck, who hits Mextroth again, and that's another stat for Louise Beck.
You see a little pump fake from Louise that really made Graham Cunningham bite. She knew that Mextroth was isolated 1v1 in the end zone, and that's not a matchup you want with that much space to guard Mex.
And let's take another look at this amazing layout D from Sadie Redding. That is really fantastic. The throw was curving back a little bit towards the defense, and there was also the sideline to contend with, but really amazing layout to get in there and force that turnover.
Yeah, we see Peasley hitting Mextroth in stride, and there's that pump fake from Louise that made Graham Cunningham bite to the open side, opening up the around pass for a wide open Mextroth.
Seems like the tides have turned a little bit here in the second half. The Strike have gone on a 4-0 run since the second half began. We have just under 4 minutes left in this third quarter, so we'll want to see if the Pride can respond to this Strike run. Has been a bit of a game of runs so far, at least at the beginning of each half. Courtney Walby with the pull for Pride's offense. Pride's offense.
Looks
There's
like
Mass in the middle.
Strike changing up a little bit of that flow on defense rather than playing super tight on the first few passes on the handlers. They were sitting in the lanes a little bit again, trying to gum up that pull play. We see it generate a turnover.
Great jukes from Walby getting away from Rowell, her defender.
Those some quick feet on that footwork there to get open.
Speaking of good footwork, way to toe in the sideline there for Nariah Bell Sims. Back to Walby, who has the disc now. And big around fake, but then finds Rachel Johnson, who unfortunately bobbles it, but is heading back to play defense with that turn. And Perry is going to boost it to Maggie Rowell, unfortunately just a little too far for her. So Strike will pick it up again here about 10 yards outside of their own end zone.
Yeah, Rowell had space, but that pass died a little early.
Oh, great layout from Sarah Monshine. Amazing grab.
Paletto looking to swing the disc. Finds Walby. Maybe not as much lateral space as she was hoping for.
And Paletto's mark is sort of poaching off into that open space, so she's wide open and Wow, another amazing layout. Layouts left and right here from this strike line. Really exciting stuff. Great around there from Jane Cook back to Rachel Johnson.
Nice space pass.
And she's going to boost it deep right back to Jane Cook. Unclear if that is up or down. The Columbus players are calling it down, as are the observers. So really good effort there by Jane. We knew we'd see at least one layout from her every game, so there it was. Hopefully there's some more in our future.
All right, you have Kat McGuire in the backfield now. Oh, looks like a timeout was called by Pride. Pride with less legs, trying to give their players a break, maybe sub in some fresh legs and take advantage of this offensive point and stick in a hold.
Another difference between the rules here in the PUL and USA Ultimate is that during a timeout you are able to sub your players. So you can have an entirely different line after you call a timeout, which is really advantageous if you call a timeout on defense and then get the turnover.
It does add a big dimension, or another dimension, I guess, to coaching decisions. If you do, in fact, sub in a fresh 7, but they're not able to get the job done in that possession, now you've got another 7 players kind of using their legs, tired, and if that's your O-line you subbed in, they have to go back on that point and receive the disc and play another point right away.
So we're going to take a look at a couple really awesome layouts here. Sarah Monchine with an amazing grab, full extension, and then is able to calmly get up and reset the disc. There's another layout from Cook. Yes, does hit the ground before she's able to get her hand on it. We've seen her layout multiple times every game, so won't be surprised if she's able to come up with the next one.
Yeah, you could tell Cook was kind of on a straight path towards the end zone, and that disc started to curl away from her, and she wasn't just able to, slow down and adjust her direction fast enough.
Corinne Pruitt with the disc here.
Turner on the sideline.
Right on the sideline there. Sarah Mexroth on the mark. Back to Pruitt, and Pruitt was looking, it seems, in the middle of the field potentially for Graham Cunningham or Katrina Phillips, but unable to find them.
And Louise Beck with a smart poach helped defense in the area to put some extra pressure on.
Oh, and a foot block it looks like from Phillips on Carly Ekstrom. That is very exciting stuff. And looks like we have another pick called.
Yeah, Phillips able to use some of that length advantage she has on Ekstrom to put on a higher pressure mark and get a block.
That looks like a violation. Sometimes if players start moving before the disc has been tapped in, a violation will be called and got to start over. Take a look at this foot block there from, oh, actually it was a hand block.
Really good footwork and mechanics from Samantha Phillips to shuffle over, not commit too hard until she saw that throw coming out.
Pletzky here with the disc. Nice open space throw to Kat McGuire.
We see Mexroth sitting in the lane, forcing the disc over to Mary Turner, out of Kat McGuire's hands. Turner gets it right back to McGuire, though.
We have just about 40 seconds left in this quarter, so if Columbus Pride can continue their possession, it will be the last possession of the quarter. Kat McGuire looking for some help. She's going to find her teammate Corinne Pruitt there, who is going to shoot deep for number 22. Mary Turner just unable to get her hands on it. And there's still about 15 seconds left on the clock here, so Strike will have a chance to march it down the field and score to end the quarter.
Yeah, you saw Pride starting to get a handle back on their offense, realizing that Strike was starting to poach certain cutters downfield and sending those cutters into the backfield to make some of those resets easier, whereas in the past, Strike reset handlers, reset defenders were putting on a lot of pressure and making those passes harder.
Michaela Daly picks it up and sends it to Alicia Carr, who finds a nice around to Sarah Mextroth. And Mextroth sends it deep here to Emma Peasley, who's able to turn around and find the disc. Here's Daly to Mextroth, who finds Alicia Carr wide open in the center of the field. Back to Carly Ekstrom. She's pointing on that break side. She knows what she wants. Now she's motioning for folks to come in and give her an under. Instead, she finds an inside break to Daly, who throws a wide throw to Redding, who's not able to get there with a great layout there into the sideline. That is the end of the third quarter.
Well, looks like Strike came out at halftime with a big mentality reset and a lot of legs, able to shut out Columbus Pride, going up with 4 goals. 10-6. We're going to go to a quick break and see you for an exciting fourth quarter.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores. What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
And here we are back for the fourth quarter and final quarter of Minnesota Strike home games. Strike able to take the lead 10-6 in the third quarter, hoping to close it out here. Before we get started here, I want to shout out some sponsors again. Spin Ultimate. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Spin Ultimate. Spin providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com.
All right, we got the pull up here from the Strike down to the Columbus Pride. Here is Phillips with the disc.
Paletto and Johnson again putting on great pressure in the reset space.
Barnhart able to have a great layout with a preserve possession there. And she finds Rachel Mast, again marked by Jane Cook. That is a great matchup to watch.
Finding Phillips downfield. Phillips shoots.
And
Gotta be
Rachel
one of her
Mast.
favorite targets.
And there is Maggie Rowell. That is, I believe, her first stat of the game. So very exciting to see her involved. I think in this fourth quarter, we're going to look for her to get a lot more involved, both on throws and catches.
Yeah, so I was suspicious of this. I think I mentioned it in a previous quarter where Pride is starting to send cutters from downfield back into the reset space, and that was pretty evident in that point. It looked like at a certain point after Phillips threw a reset, she cut downfield kind of towards the stack, and Rachel Mast came back to get an easier reset, and then they were able to find Phillips again. Kind of a longer, creative way to throw a swing, but it really opened up the field for them, and Phillips able to showcase some deep throws as well.
We see Minnesota Strike coach Pat Niles talking to his team. And it looks like the Pride are getting ready to pull to this offensive line. We have Robin Fennig out here again, who will likely be quarterbacking this line, along with Steph Rupp and Jareen Taylor. Another pull here from Kat McGuire. Her pulls have really been fantastic during this point, and very consistent during the whole game, I should say.
Robin, quick flip over to Randall on the open side.
Great
Randall
find on
finding
the
Blahnik.
sideline.
Blahnik was poached, opening up another Hawking lane.
Oh, great grab from Steph Wood. And then a very emphatic spike in the air.
Blanek is doing a great job of finding herself open in her thrower's lane when she's poached. She's recognizing the poach is there, getting to a space where she can get thrown to, and then really, really abusing the fact that she's poached by throwing breakside hucks.
And that is a great grab from Steph Wood, who is speedy enough that she actually doesn't have to lay out very often to catch all the goals that she catches, but this time you do see her hitting the ground and holding on to the disc anyway, so that's really wonderful to see. And Steph is all smiles there on the sideline. I bet she and Callie are talking about that layout right now.
Yeah, Steph and Callie, great friends, of course. Both played together for a year at Minnesota and played together on POP as well. So this game's been kind of a showcase of mental fortitude as well out of both teams. Strike able to claw back from some mishaps in the first half and show us a strong third quarter, and then Pride able to come out and hold on their first point of the fourth quarter. And so both teams really strong and well in this game. Pride has shown that they can generate a few breaks back to back, and so has Strike.
Great pull there, landing on the sideline for Columbus Pride. Perry's picking it up and sending it over to Phillips, who finds Graham Cunningham in the center of the field.
Cunningham finds Turner. Turner trapped on the sideline now, looking to reset to Phillips.
Great
Phillips
inside.
Low inside. Cunningham with nice hands and a big around backhand to who else but Mast in the end zone. Another goal for Rachel Mast.
Mast has done a great job getting open in both the under and the deep space. She seems to be giving the Minnesota Strike defenders a lot of trouble. That point we saw a different matchup on Mast. It was not Jane Cook, so it seems like Strike's trying to mix it up a little bit and see if they can stop her, and at that point it was not successful.
Yeah, Pride's still looking pretty comfortable throwing around their marks, really taking advantage of that ability to throw around on that point to open up the breakside lane again for a big deep shot.
Just over 10 minutes left here in the fourth quarter, so we still got some great exciting ultimates happening. Pride is waiting for their seventh player, Katrina McGuire, to join them on the line. It looks like we will get a Mal Griffith pull.
Still a lot of time left in this game. Let's see what Pride comes out with on defense here to try to stifle Strike.
We're seeing pretty consistent offensive line here for Strike with those three handlers, Taylor, Fenig, and Rupp. Looks like a little bit of poaching here, but Fenig is able to find Taylor there in the middle of the field, who hits Danielle Byers, her Dragon Thrust teammate.
So Pride definitely still sticking to a lot of this help defense, poachy defense that Strike has kind of shown that they can work through.
Dreen Taylor is alone back in the backfield. Robin Fenig comes back to get an undercut. Oh, and she fakes the hammer, and then she throws the hammer. Beautiful hammer over to Byers. Fenig and Byers played together on Scandal a few years ago, so they are a really great chemistry together.
Byers finds Blanek to Taylor. Taylor shoots the end zone. Ooh, but McGuire able to generate that block on a really tough matchup on Fenig in the end zone.
Great block there from Kat McGuire. Seeing that one again. Looks like Fenig was sort of contending with the sideline. She was getting close to it, and McGuire's able to just get her hand in there. So now let's see if Pride can work it up the whole field and get a break.
This would be a big swing of momentum. Strike hasn't gotten broken since that first half.
That is a great hand block there from Jareen Taylor. And Fenig picks it up right away and finds Megan Randall.
Jareen Taylor silencing any talk of Pride getting out of the break this half with a really, really heads-up hand block on the high release pass. Randall taking advantage of the defense being kind of thrown off their feet, just jetting for the quick up line to score that goal.
One thing the coaches mentioned, the Strike coaches mentioned before the game when we chatted to them, is they said Jareen Taylor may not be the flashiest of players, but she has the fundamentals just absolutely locked down. I would say that was a pretty flashy hand block in my opinion.
I would agree with that. We want to shout out the Black Heart of St. Paul. Black Heart is a queer soccer bar in the heart of Midway, a bar that brings people together for a drink, drag, or an ultimate watch party. Unfortunately, this is the last home game for Strike, but they put on a great show, great hosts for a lot of Strike fans to come watch their away games. I think they probably will have a watch party for Strike.
Likely.
Next week, or the next game that Strike has in Madison against Milwaukee. So check it out. Stop by for a quick drink and a good time.
Rachel Johnson here with the rolling pull. The goal of that is to get the Pride to have to start on the sideline. So we're looking at potentially a trap play so that it will be very hard to get off the sideline. And Johnson marches right down there and gets on the mark.
I think that's Strike coaches realizing that they've been really successful in the handler space.
There's Rowell with the disc.
But Phillips, yeah, able to find a shot straight down the sideline and kind of break out of that trap. Nice. Helm puts pressure on Mary Turner, makes her second guess. Her timing on going for that disc, resulting in a turnover.
And it looks like Walby was thinking about rewarding Helm for that D by throwing it deep to her, but chose otherwise. But instead, they find Helm on the break side. Really great cut. Way to open up the other side of the field.
Ooh, dicey swing, but Pleto able to reel it in.
Pleto and Walby working really well together in the backfield here. It's a great pair. She finds Sarah Monshine over here on the near sideline. Back to Rachel Johnson, who's in the cutter space right now. And Johnson throws it over the stack. I wonder if that throw was meant for Naraya Bell Sims, if she hoped that she was going to turn around. Or it could have been for Jane Cook and just sort of fell a little early.
Yeah, so the wind seems to have picked up just a little bit. Still not a very windy day that will be affecting the throws too much, but a change from the first half, and it looks like the wind probably just pushed, you know what, that pass and the previous pass, both down to the ground earlier than the thrower was expecting. Especially that blade up from Raisin Johnson. Those blades are going to drop quick. You need a lot of air under them to get them where you need to go.
Walby with that hammer fake. Then Paletto over to find Monshine, who is very patient on that catch. Great job there. Paletto with lots of jukes to get open, but unfortunately that disc hits the ground. Looks like there may have been a foul call from the defense, but turnover anyway. Oh, great layout there from Rachel Mast. Unfortunately, that throws just a little too far. Jane Cook will pick it up and get it moving right away.
Cook saying that she has more legs than her defender, just wants to get this moving right away, and you see her already downfield and coming under for a cut.
Looks like a timeout was called. So Jane Cook will drop the disc. And we will have a few seconds to regroup.
Guessing we'll see that Strike offense come out just a few yards to go in the end zone, about 20. Should be a clean cut end zone set out of that Strike offensive line.
We see Robin Fenning coming over to pick up the disc already. And it looks like we're getting a vertical stack in the middle of the field. So we'll have to see what the Strike have cooked up.
We'd like to shout out Cream and Amber, a bookstore located in Hopkins serving craft beer, coffee, and food made with local ingredients. We bring people together to read more books, drink good beer, and share in community.
Sounds like my kind of place.
If anything's going to convince me to get back into reading books, it might be some beer or coffee to go with it.
Robin Fenning here with the disc. She's got some great fashion going on in her hair. She's always a really spirited player and likes to show it with her accessories, it seems.
See Jareen Taylor's the reset. Steph her up at the front of the stack. Not quite in their end zone set just yet.
Fenning finds Megan Randall, right back to Robin Fenning. Seems like maybe a bit of a defensive switch up from the Pride that has stopped Minnesota in their tracks a little bit.
Nice pump fake from Blahnik opens up the reset for Jareen Taylor. Taylor finds Byers streaking up line. Byers to Randall. Randall not just in.
Looks like she landed right on the line and wasn't sure at first if she was in or out, but luckily with the observer right next to her, they were able to call her just out.
A little bit of confusion on if she's in or out. Looks like the in was retracted. She is not in the end zone just yet. Swings to Byers, able to hold on to it. Byers looking to reset. Finds Blahnik. Blahnik, nice.
Great grab from Byers.
Easy little lofty pass.
very difficult to stop in those small spaces. She is so fast. She's difficult to stop in the big spaces too, not gonna lie. But way to kind of follow her throw immediately with a strike cut and get open for that goal. So another replay of this break here.
Yeah, here we see
Got
this break
Byers.
side motion, and Blahnik able to just use her length and height to put that disc over her mark. Nice, easy
great
pass
grab.
to Byers on the break side.
So, Dewey, what do you think has been the biggest difference this second half? Strike really looked like a completely different team than they did in the first half, with Byers waving to the camera.
Honestly, I think a big difference is Strike was able to just get their D-line out on the field. That was a big struggle for them, obviously, getting broken a few times in the first half. But when you see your D-line go out there and grind as hard as they were, really lights a fire under the offense. Offense came out with a mental reset and valued possessing the disc, valued patience. I think both of those together have clearly, changed the pace of the game.
Yep, that last score was another break for the Minnesota Strike, so they're now up 13-8 with just under 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Katrina McGuire here on the sideline nearest to us. Great spin move there by Cunningham, but McGuire's forced to put it deep. And great pressure from Carly Ekstrom. We saw this earlier with a different play, but her defensive pressure forced the offensive player to jump up and make a grab for it earlier than she may have otherwise, and resulted in a turnover.
Ekstrom's pass just a little bit too far from Ekstrath on the open side. Just before that huck, it looked like McGuire was looking to reset the disc, and Pride seemed to be reeling just a little bit, maybe a little bit of panic with 3 reset cuts coming in at the same time. That's not what you want to be seeing out of your offense.
The throw from Cunningham sails over the ahead of her intended offensive player, Mary Turner, and 3 strike defenders are there to clean it up. Ekstrom with some big fakes, looking like maybe she wanted to throw it deep, but her mark cut those off pretty well.
Daly finds Redding, and Redding instead being the one to throw it deep with Peasley streaking. But that pass dies just a little quick.
A lot of really great separation there Peasley was able to get from Kat McGuire. Just unable to connect on that throw.
Graham Cunningham kind of taking over on offense with her around backhands.
Oh, just a slight miscommunication. I think she expected Barnhart to come back for that shorter pass, but Barnhart was already starting to head downfield.
A little bit of a commentator's curse on that. As right as I mentioned, her backhands. You can see she's clearly frustrated, knows it's one of her stronger throws.
Here's Ekstrom right on the sideline. She is pointing to that away space, and then she throws directly to that space to Emma Peasley. That is Babe Ruth move right there.
And that pass is nearly unguardable. You could be playing the best defense of your life, but trailing that pass to the back corner is really just showcasing the thrower's skill. Kat McGuire clearly been playing phenomenally this game. Lots of pressure on offense and defense, but even she's not able to make a play on that.
Yep, we've seen really impressive throws just like that from Carly Ekstrom this whole season. She's really able to find the other side of the field in a way that is really opens up the field for her cutters and allows them to cut to lots of different parts of the field, so they don't need to feel constrained by where the open side is. That's really exciting to have as a cutter.
Yeah, and something I was worried about between the third and fourth quarter, kind of coming into this game, was the fact that Strike was aware of Pride kind of playing a lot of this poachier defense, a lot of help defense. And kind of having faith that Strike would be able to take advantage of it. And we haven't really seen Pride respond with a different defensive strategy so far.
Welby with the pull here. And Phillips picks it up. There's Mary Turner in the open space downfield. And Perry with the disc now, looking for some options. She'll find the reset for Phillips, who will swing it all the way over for, I believe that's number 8, Becky Moore.
Barnhart able to find the disc, but reset pass up line is just a little bit too far again, out of reach. Paletta picking up with another chance to break for Strike.
Great grab from Welby there, and she will shoot it to Monshine, who really tough layout, kind of going backwards from where her momentum was carrying her, but not able to connect there.
Phillips thought about, wow, sending a deep
Great
pass. Raul able to come down with it anyways. Phillips shoots deep. And that is a
Phillip
goal.
finds Perry, number 38.
And you can see this shorter roster size is really starting to kind of take effect on Pride. They're looking a little tired. Some of these longer points are starting to come back with a vengeance towards the end of this game.
Score is now 14-9, Minnesota Strike.
You see that great grab from Raul. That pass was behind her, but she's able to kind of shift her entire momentum, lay out backwards, and make the catch, opening up Phillips for that continued break side hook.
You definitely see Perry and the rest of the players on the field were really ready for that point to be over. It was a long one. But really great effort and mental and physical fortitude to stick with it and punch that point in anyway. So Strike is going to come out with their offensive line this time. Looks like we got the same players as usual. Robin Fenig, Danielle Byers, Steph Rupp, Megan Randall, Kayla Blanick, Dreen Taylor, and Steph Wood. Both Stephs are on this line.
I'm hoping to see something different out of the Pride defense, but at the same time, with the the fewer legs and a lot of crossing over, maybe kind of relying on their poachy help sets is the best they can do at this point. And try to put pressure on in a different way.
And Fenig takes advantage of that poach by finding a wide open Randall on the break side. Byers is gonna shoot it deep. Blanick has the height here, and she's able to come down with it. Great grab from Kayla Blanick over her shorter defender. It looks like, unfortunately, there might be an injury.
Johnson goes down, hoping it's
Hopefully
just a cramp.
It appears that way from the distance, but hopefully Morgan Johnson is A-okay. Great effort there.
Let's look at this replay. Byers able to uncork a flick. And Blanick in double coverage makes the play. Johnson walks away. Yeah, it looks like she might have just cramped kind of on the way off the field.
Especially with a smaller roster when you're running a ton, your muscles can start to get a little angry at you. So not surprised, but hopefully Johnson will be able to get up and we'll be totally fine.
Man, you see Randall from Strike kind of in that huddle helping out. I imagine she has some background in physical therapy or training.
It actually looks like she is an art conservator at the Midwest Art Conservation Center. She is also a mom of twin toddlers named Dot and Val, so maybe it is that instinct that's kicking in.
That'll do it.
But a really good spirit, very nice of her to be helping out there. Lots of exciting stuff happening here at Seafoam Stadium today. We actually have a Minnesota wind chill game happening at 6 o'clock Central. And a lot of the fans hopefully will be sticking around and watching the AUDL game as well once this one is over. So big day in Minnesota Ultimate.
Looks like Johnson is getting up with some help. We'll take a look, see if she's able to walk.
Okay. That's good to see.
That's good. She's walking off the field. During this quick break, I'd like to shout out Brent Johnson, the realty guy. Brent is a proud Ultimate parent and sponsor of Minnesota Strike. He specializes in first-time home buyers and first-tier move-up buyers. I actually have a friend that just bought a house in Robbinsdale, suburb of Minnesota, with Brent Johnson as the realtor.
Well, if that isn't an amazing endorsement, I don't know what is.
All right, Strike up 15-9 with another goal. Let's see what they can do here on D. Cunningham picking up, finding Phillips in the middle. To Mass in the center of the field. Rowell Redding putting pressure on that under, but Rowell able to hold on.
Ooh, great grab there. Maxstroth was close to being able to make a poach block, but Phillips grabbed it.
Phillips finds Turner. Cunningham is covered on the up line by Louise Beck. Maxstroth covering the next up line. Oh, but the third up line goes.
Max was sort of poaching off of her person and making that upline strike cut pretty difficult, but Rachel Mouse is able to still get open and catch it between two strike defenders. Very impressive play.
Yeah, you see
Turner with the hammer fake there. We know she has that throw in her arsenal, so hasn't chosen to take advantage yet, but maybe we'll see that in the last 2 minutes of the game here.
Yeah, I was going to mention that there was great defense on the first two up lines. That ends on set out of Pride, or from Strike on Pride's up lines, but sometimes upline cuts are just really hard to guard, especially when it's Rachel Mass cutting upline, who's been really, really quick this game all around the field.
Yep, really impressive stuff. So we see an offensive line here. Again, kind of similar group to how we've seen other plays go. It seems like Strike is maybe settling into some lines that they have played and practiced with together. Seems like that will be a great way to use their chemistry to their advantage. Looks like McGuire is gonna pull the disc again. Another awesome pull from McGuire. And Rupp will pick it up and center to Robin Fenig.
With only 2 minutes left on the clock here, I think Strike is just going to be looking to possess the disc, kind of run some clock out.
Great cut from Steph Wood.
Fenig opening up line.
Great upline, and her defender lost her footing, and so she has a couple seconds without a stall.
Steph Wood's upline pass forces the mark to respect it, kind of shade over on the open side, opening up a nice swing from Fenig. Fenig really using the width of the field here.
And a nice switch there from Columbus Pride to stop Fenig from getting the disc again in the upline space.
Byers finds Wood. Byers streaking up line. The break side clearing out. Fenig again.
Nice around throw from Fenig to Caleb Blanick. We have a laying out Alex Hughes there from the Pride. Great effort there, but the disc is still able to get to Caleb Blanick.
Blanick is such a tough matchup. Even with Hughes' height to kind of equal Blanick's height, Blanick's still fast enough to get open on that break side with really, really good timing on her cut.
So close there from Hughes. So Minnesota Strike's going to throw out a D-line. Again, looks like we have players like Monshine, Paletto, Courtney Wallaby, Sarah Helm, Nora Bell Sims. So excited to see what they can do here on one of the final points of the game. The score is 16-10 Minnesota Strike, and there is 1 minute and 13 seconds left.
Yeah, Strike hasn't really been forced to change their defensive sets too much this half. They really just amped up the pressure in the backfield. They were doing a great job locking down the cutters in the downfield space in the first half already. Adjusting to make that handler reset more difficult has proven fruitful. And I think my guess is I'd love to hear Carlos or Pat Niles, Strike coach's thoughts on this rolling the pull out the sideline, but my understanding would be that it just allows the handler reset pressure to be ramped up even more.
It also gives the defense a lot of time to set up and get into position, and it forces a turnover right there on that upline attempt to Phillips. So Wallaby's going to go and pick it up on the sideline.
Yeah, you see that was almost like kind of like a set play zone where they had one person in the open side sideline kind of just hanging out in that space, putting pressure on any undercuts that could be coming down the line, and then handler reset defenders as well. Really taking away options from Pride.
That throw just floats over the head of Sarah Monshine. A little bit of collision, but good spirit there between Monshine and Maggie Rowell to resolve that pretty quickly. Disc is with Graham Cunningham, and that one also sails over the head of Maggie Rowell, heading right towards the sideline as well. And it looks like there may have been a timeout call. Unclear if the Pride will continue their possession, if the timeout was called when they still had possession or before it was after the turnover. So we will see who has the disc when the timeout is over.
We see Coach Carlos Lopez coming out. Looks like there's probably a quick Strike timeout the moment that disc was turned over.
We have just under 30 seconds left in the game, and a reminder at the end of the fourth quarter, it is a sort of buzzer ends the game type situation, whereas in the first 3 quarters, the team who had the disc could finish up their possession either by scoring or committing a turnover. For the fourth quarter, once the clock hits 0, the buzzer will go off and the game will be over, regardless of who has possession.
Doesn't look like we're going to be in much of a buzzer beater situation here. If the timeout was called with Strike in possession,
it does look that way.
Yeah, they could happily just run out the clock with a couple passes.
And that's definitely a strategy by the Strike coaches, understanding that they put on a line that has really strong kind of throws and catches, then they can just run out the clock until the game is over. Michaela Daly picking the disc up here. Great diving grab from Fennig to keep that possession alive. Over to Danielle Byers. Fennig finds Dream Taylor, who finds Byers again. She is just wide open. And so the clock is stopped on the stream, but we have 3 seconds left here in the game.
Fennig puts one up in the sky just to run out the last few seconds of the clock, and that will seal the game for Minnesota Strike. The final score of this game was 16 Minnesota Strike to 10 for Columbus Pride.
Really impressive stuff there from Strike to, even though they came out and got a few breaks against them, like you said, Doobie, it really shows a lot of mental strength to come back out of the second half and really take care of business. So exciting stuff for the Strike, who now moved to 5-0. They're the only undefeated team in the PUL after DC Shadows' loss yesterday night. So really exciting to see Strike kind of at the top of the standings there.
Yeah, I do want to give props to Columbus. They put on a really good show this game. The coaches pointed out that they come from 3 different states. You know, these players haven't had much time to play together, but they looked pretty solid at a lot of points during this game, offensively and defensively.
Absolutely.
On behalf of the entire Minnesota Strike organization, we thank you so much for tuning in with us today.
So we are going to get an interview with one of the players or coaches from the game in just a few moments. And we're going to see some highlights here before we have that interview. So we'll get to relive some of the awesome plays from this game. Great defense.
That was the start of that handler defense in the second half, really coming to fruition.
Jane Cook to her teammate, Nariah Bell Sims. Nariah Bell Sims is such a fun player to watch. She's always hyped and excited and is not afraid to show it. Really great teammate and player to watch.
A lot of these highlights shooting in the deep space. I'm glad we were able to see that. I'm glad Strike was able to put on that show for the fans, really highlighting how many players on this team are great deep throwers and great deep cutters as well.
Great layout there from Steph Wood. Megan Randall, as you can see there, is also extremely excited.
Steph Wood with so many games this season, just showing how sticky her hands are. She's come down with some passes that she had no business catching, but she's able to hold on so often.
So we're going to go to a quick break after this highlight reel, and then when we come back, we will have an interview with a player from what I believe will be the Minnesota Strike.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores. What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
welcome back to Emptying Out Seafoam Stadium. We have a post-game interview here. Laura Osterland is down on the field with Danielle Byers from the Minnesota Strike.
Something that went really well was we kind of went into this game compared to last game where it felt like we really relied on Robin. We relied on Robin to throw it, to get it, and we knew going into bigger games, potentially championship weekend, that wasn't a strategy we could have, is to rely on one person. We got 7 people out there, we need to use them all. So something that really worked as the game progressed is really just the cutter-to-cutter connection, letting us give each other that space, hanging with each other an extra second, and I mean, we got a bunch of goals that way, so that was awesome.
Yeah, so going into half, we were tied up. Columbus came out with an early lead. Third quarter, didn't let them score. What was the difference?
I think it was just the idea that we are down. This was a tight game. We didn't. I don't know if maybe we were just checked out in the beginning, but just that we have to treat this like every other game that we've played so far. Keep our mental energy up higher. We cleaned up our mistakes. We just kind of let the mistakes that happened earlier go, and just came out with that defensive energy. I think we're a team that when things are going well, we feed off that, but just as much that's something we need to work on of when things are bad, how are we going to respond? And I think we can respond a little bit faster next time.
And then going into this final game against Monarchs and potentially champ weekend, what are the takeaways from this game?
Again, just every game you're going in, you can't expect anything. You can't expect to win, you can't expect to lose. You have to plan to just play your game, play the best game you can play, and really don't overthink it. Again, we got caught overthinking at the beginning of this game, turned it around, and I just think Monarchs especially, play our game, play the best we can be, and just if we make it to championship weekend, just put all the pieces. Every lesson that we've learned along the way, put it together and just be the best we can be.
All right, and finally, do you have anyone you'd like to shout out?
I play O-line. I mean, our D-line's great. I'm going to shout out just my O-line cutters. Steph, Wood, Kayla, Randall, I think we really found our connection this game. We hit those cuts, we worked with each other. Everybody had their moment where they got to shine, and it's so nice playing with people where it doesn't feel like you have to do anything special because, oh, I didn't get that disc. I know there's 3 other cutters that are going to do just as much, if not more.
All right, and there you have it. Again, I've got Danielle Byers. This is Laura Osterland. Back to you in the booth.
All right, thank you, Laura, for that interview, and thank you, Danielle. We see the final score here, 16-10. Strike were able to pull it out in that second half and give us a great game. Any closing thoughts, Rebecca? Any thoughts about the game?
It was really great to see Strike, like I said, be able to maintain that mental and physical strength to come back in a game where they were down really early. So that's always exciting. I think it bodes really well for their prospects later in the season, hopefully in the playoffs. And really great win on a beautiful Saturday here in Minneapolis.
Definitely. I'm glad that Columbus was able to come out and show us a good game as well. Seems like their team is just growing and growing. I'm excited to see what they're able to put together next year with some of their great players and hopefully more. With that, on behalf of the entire Minnesota Strike organization, we thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Strike will be taking the field again against the Milwaukee Monarchs on Friday evening, June 2nd. If you're in Madison, make sure you get your tickets, and if not, you can watch the game on the PUL YouTube channel. Once again, I'm Doobie with Rebecca, and we thank you for watching Minnesota Strike vs. Columbus Pride with the Premier Ultimate League. See you again soon.
Spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.